The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to the crowds, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, you say immediately that it's going to rain, and so it does. And when you notice that the wind is blowing from the south, you say that it's going to be hot, and so it is. You hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time? Why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? If you are going with your opponent before a magistrate, make an effort to settle the matter on the way. Otherwise, your opponent will turn you over to the judge, and the judge will hand you over to the constable, and the constable will throw you into prison. I say to you, you will not be released until you have paid the last penny." The Gospel of the Lord.
So I have mentioned 100 times in the past couple years the Kerygma, and some of you are like, "Oh yeah, he says that all the time," and some of you are going, "I've never heard of that." But anyway, the Kerygma is these steps. God created you for a relationship. He loves you. He created you to know Him, to love Him, to serve Him as a free gift. But then the reality of sin entered the world. And the destructive power of sin infects us all. And there's a bit of a mystery to the reality of sin. But that's what the first reading was about today. Did you hear St. Paul say? What did he say? He said, "There is a power at work in me, and I see what I want to do, and I can't do it because there is this power that's dragging me down." And what is that power that is in his members that's dragging him down? We call that the power of sin. Now, we have a special theological word for that power called concupiscence. But we don't have to know that word. We just know that there is a power that seeks to drag us down from what we were created to be. And what is the solution to that evil? He gives a solution. He gives step 2 and 3. There's 5 steps, if you will, to the Kerygma. And Paul gives step 2 and 3 in the little excerpt we had from Romans today. He talks about the power of sin, and he says, "Thanks be to Jesus Christ who frees me." Because it is Christ who heals us from the power of sin. What is another one of the things that sin does to us? Sin blinds us. It's a blinding power. And so we have Jesus in the gospel say to us, essentially, that outside of His grace, we're blind. But we're not so blind that we still can't read the signs around us. If we're smart enough to figure out that when the wind is blowing out of the south, it's going to get warmer. If we're smart enough to figure that out, are we smart enough to figure that out? We are. Okay, we are. I promise you, when the wind is blowing out of the south, the temperature generally is going to be going up. Okay? He says, if you can figure that out, you can figure out that I'm the Messiah. And there's no excuses. And then he talks about this judgment and paying the last penny. But just the reality that we have to have our eyes open. It's interesting. I'm going to give you a little preview of this Sunday's Gospel and Homily. This Sunday's Gospel and Homily is the blind man before Jesus, and his prayer is, "I want to see. I want to be able to see. I want to be able to read the signs. I want to be able to know. I want to know you." And so that's our prayer today. I want to see. I want to be able to read the signs. I want to be freed from the power of sin and death that is in my members, as St. Paul speaks about. And I can't get through this little short homily this morning without talking about John Paul II for just a second, okay? And how I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to read a few quotes from him, okay? And that I put together briefly this morning. So John Paul II, his probably greatest work is a thing called the Theology of the Body. And that's gaining traction in the world happily. But Paul, he says, as the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world. As the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world. And the family's in trouble, as we all know. When freedom does not have a purpose, when it doesn't know about the law engraved in our hearts, when it does not listen to the voice of conscience, it turns against humanity and against society. So freedom, not connected to God's truth, becomes an agent of destruction. Social justice cannot be attained by violence. Violence kills what it intends to create. John Paul II said, "You priests, you are not social or political leaders. Let us not live under the illusion that we are serving the gospel through an exaggerated interest in the world of temporal problems." That was for me. Science can purify religion of error and superstition, but religion can purify science from idolatry and false absolutes. The future starts today, not tomorrow. I like that one. Okay. And last but not least, the cemetery of victims of human cruelty in our century is extended to include yet another vast cemetery, that of the unborn. And so John Paul II was just, he lived so long and he was so prolific and he wrote so much. It's just incredible, the richness. So I would just encourage you all to find something written by John Paul II and read it. It's all good, okay? Some's better than the other, but it's all good. Maybe someday he'll be a doctor of the church, meaning even his writings are kind of canonized with him, essentially. But so, John Paul II, pray for us, pray for the family, pray for the unborn.